maybe. This is Dave Rogie here for the Lake Chelan Sports Blog, and I'm in the home of Shane and Shelley Bird with their son Drake out here at Howard Flats, and came to talk with Drake a little bit this afternoon about some pretty exciting things that are going on in his life, and also to kind of get some information and input from his parents about all of this. So we're going to begin by saying, you know, Drake obviously is a 8th grader at Chelan Middle School, and he is quite an athlete there, as well as he's played various sports as he's grown up. And so it's kind of interesting to see how involved he is, and to have the exciting opportunity to do what's going to be happening here for him shortly, and that is to travel to the Walt Disney World facility, ESPN facility at Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida, to play in an All-American tournament, which is a tremendous honor for a young man his age. So let's take a moment, and Drake, good afternoon, and thanks a lot for taking time out with me. Tell me a little bit about Drake. Let's just talk about Drake for a second. You're an 8th grader, you're 13?
Yeah, I just turned 13. Okay. Going into 8th grade. I've been playing baseball since I was 4, I think. I started T-ball at 4. Started playing real kid pitch baseball at 7. And I've been playing since with Chelan for 5 years. And just...
That's it, huh?
Yeah.
So tell me, you're playing in a tournament that is sponsored by USSA, which we're going to get the name of all that before we're done, but for now we're just going to refer to it as a tournament team. And you were selected. There's a process, and tell us a little bit about kind of how that worked, the regions. But before you do that, let me ask you a question I just completely skipped over, and that is, tell me about what you enjoy most. Is it football? Is it basketball? You play them all, and you do very well. So tell me a little bit about your favorites. And
I like basketball and football, but not nearly as much as I love playing baseball. And if there was no baseball, I wouldn't know what to do.
I noticed coming in out here that you've got quite a facility going out there with a pitching cage, a batting cage, excuse me, but with a pitching machine and so on. Do you get out and participate with that and work out with that pretty much on a daily basis?
I try to get out there as much as I can. Mm-hmm. So when my dad's home, I usually go out there and hit and work on my swing and get better.
Okay. Now, Dad, he's talking about us to come into your home this evening. Shane kind of got a pedigree for baseball. You know, I'm sure probably played youth and what have you, but more importantly, he was a coach at Brewster High School and participated in a number of championships. Is that right?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that and about kind of your desires about baseball, and was that something you were hoping you were going to be about that, and about kind of your desires about baseball, and was that something you were hoping you were going to be able to draw over and get your son involved in?
You know, coaching at Brewster was a pretty good experience. I was able to coach there for 8 years. During that time, we had a pretty good record. We won 3 state tournaments, made it to the Final Four 7 of the 8 years, finished in the top 3 7 of the 8 years. Baseball was my love next to hunting from as long as I can remember. And baseball was kind of my out. You know, it was why I went to college and those different things. And you know, when we found out we were going to have a son, you know, the first thoughts through your mind is like, oh, you know, I hope he loves baseball. But and then as that time progresses and they're born and you look at them, you love on them, and it's like, I just want him to be a good person. Very, very thankful that Drake likes baseball. But you know, if baseball wasn't his passion, obviously we love him just as much and support him in whatever he was going to do. So.
Well, and that certainly is evident in everything, because you guys are always there. You know, you're always involved in things. In fact, Shelley, you and I were talking a little bit about how this whole program works, and you know, who's paying the bill, so to speak. And you mentioned something about family, so let's talk about it just a moment, Shelley, if you would. Tell us a little bit more about what that's all like, what that's involved.
As far as the traveling?
Yeah, well, you know, the whole financial thing, the parent commitment and what have you. Talk about that just a little bit. You had mentioned something about, you know, it's the parents doing things and the kids doing things. What kind of things?
Well, this team that Drake plays on, and even with Chelan, so Shane and Randy Gleesman coached the Chelan team for 5 years now, I would say 5 years, and it's been pretty much parent funded. Parents have just made the commitment, spent the money to travel. You know, the tournaments that they go to can get pretty expensive, and over the years, sometimes I think this year Drake went to 10 just with the River Bandits team, a couple with the Chelan team this year. So it's, you know, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of energy. We don't obviously see our house very much anymore. If you've seen our yard, you know why. But you know, we enjoy it. We kind of take it as kind of a family vacation. So we've taken our vacations over the last few years just at baseball tournaments.
So is this going to be a new experience going to Orlando for you guys, or is that someplace you've been before?
We've been to Orlando, to Disney World once, but Drake was very, very little. We do travel quite a bit, so we've been through Florida a couple times just stopping there. But so it'll be fun to get back, and it'll be fun for him since he's older now. He'll actually know what he's seen.
And you know, of course, at his age, you know, you don't just look at all the activities around you, but you also look at the people that are there, you know, and see who else is vacationing and enjoying it. You had mentioned something about your being responsible to fund it. So that means that it all comes out of pocket, or you mentioned something about fundraising. Talk about that just a little bit. And for the benefit of people who are going to watch this, is this something that they can get involved in to help support the young people when they get involved in these programs?
Sure.
You know, when we started the whole Cal Ripken thing, going on 5 years ago now, there was another family involved with us, and the Ailings, and we just really wanted to get competitive baseball going, where kids go out and kind of see what's out there. And we looked at fundraising, and we're like, okay, well, this is what it's going to cost to do it. So we basically said, hey, would you guys like to pay this? Would you like to fundraise? And a lot of families just said, hey, we'll just pay and we'll go play. You know, with the 12U team in Chelan that Drake had played on for the last 4 years, I think we played in 230 games together.
Oh my goodness.
You know, and that's tournaments, league ball, you know, pickup games, all those things. Same group of kids over a 4-year span of time. That's a lot of baseball. So the fundraising part, we kind of rely on the parents and the parental commitment. You know, we never really sought out to, hey, would you like to sponsor this? Would you like to sponsor that? Because the parents are so committed to what we're doing. And fortunately for us, you know, over the last 4 years, we've made a ton of amazing friends in our Chelan group, with River Bandits group. So, you know, if they really wanted to help out, you know, if the community really wanted to help out, I would say volunteer your time. You know, when you see the post on Chelan Youth Baseball, come help coach. You know, hey, if we need baseballs, things like that. The time commitment's the biggest part. And to me, that's the most important donation, is come help out, come be a part of the program, and let's help build it so we have as many kids as we can playing competitive baseball.
Right. Well, thank you for that, and I appreciate the explanation of all of this from you two, but it's time to turn over to the young man who I came and talk with. So we're going to give him a chance to take a deep breath, and we'll kind of turn the page, if you will, and get started talking with Drake a little bit more. Drake, you mentioned that your passion is baseball. At what point did you feel like that was going to happen, or did you feel that passion?
So when I first started going to tournaments with the Chelan team, which I was 7, it was really, I had a lot of fun playing the game, just having time with my friends, talk, hang out with them. But I really love baseball, and so when I got out into the field, that first game of the first tournament, it was really competitive, and I knew from that point on I wanted to play baseball.
Okay. Well, that's, you know, I guess every kid gets that experience at some point. It's not like you just all of a sudden are born and the baseball glove comes on or the basketball goes in your hand. So, you know, at some point, all young people who are sports oriented and who have that desire, I'm sure you would agree, that you have that moment or that period of time when it's like, holy moly, this is what I want to do. This is what I like to do. So let me ask you, is baseball something you'd like to see in your future as a career?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's a big goal for me, and I'd love to see it in my future. But I know there's a lot of great athletes out there, so I just have to keep working hard at what I love. Maybe I'll get there someday.
Well, certainly you are taking some strides if you're getting recognized to play in national tournaments, so that's pretty exciting. What position do you play, Rick?
I play all over, but my favorite position is catcher, and I wish to get better at that
Okay.
most.
Okay. And what about hitting? Are you a pretty solid hitter? Do you kind of, you know, have your days? Tell me a little bit about that.
I'm mostly a solid hitter. Sometimes I'll have some off days, but most of the time I'm a solid hitter.
And you get the benefit, obviously, from this batting cage and having that machine where you can get out there and just hit,
Yes.
and watch and get the timing and learn that stroke that you want for yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's great. So let's talk about, for just a moment, from your perspective, at what point did your folks come in and say, hey, we've just looked this up on the website or something, and there's a group out there that you can go and play with, and how comfortable were you with doing that? And was it exciting or was it really apprehensive?
Oh, so they came in maybe 2 weeks before the tryout, and they kept asking me. I was really nervous at first when they first asked me. I was like, I don't want to do this. Then I started getting a little bit better, and I was like, yeah, I want to go do this. So I went there, had a great time. Then I was really excited to hear my name called.
I'll bet you were. So let's talk about your experience with River Dogs for just a minute, because apparently that particular team, not that there haven't been other teams you've played on, but that particular team, it sounds like you have spent a good deal of time going to tournaments around, I guess, kind of the northwest and southern western states. Is that so? Tell us a little bit about that job, that participation, and how important is that for a young man like yourself who wants those goals?
Well, the River Bandits really helped me work hard for my position because it's a select team, and you have to work for that position that you want. You have to work to play, work to hit on that spot, and so it's really helped me work harder and harder for the spot I want.
Around your school duties and activities, how much time do you spend out there working in that hitting cage, and would you say?
I try to do it after school and when there's school, and then maybe an hour for 3 days in the summer, each week in the summer.
Okay, good. That's takes a lot of commitment on, we talk about financial commitments and transportation commitments and traveling, but it does take a strong commitment and a desire to be able to, on days when you don't really feel like it, to get out there and work at it, isn't it?
Yeah, because that reminds me, because I was really sick. I had a basketball tournament that day. I got up at like 2 in the morning. I felt like I was going to throw up. I had like 106-degree temperature. I was not feeling good, but I went up there, played, and came home feeling like I helped. And so baseball, I would do the same thing. And I've had those days where I feel really, really bad, like I'm going to throw up or something, and I keep working.
Okay, well, and indeed that takes that kind of a commitment. So is this the first time that you've ever gotten an opportunity to participate in what they referred to that day on the TV as an All-American team?
Yes, it's the very first time I got to go try out and play for this team.
And you mentioned in the course of our discussions earlier, tell us a little bit about your team, kind of a little bit about the makeup, not necessarily kids by name or what state, but talk a little bit about just kind of generally the kids that you've gotten to know, and tell us a little bit more about the whole regional thing.
For the River Bandits or the All-American?
No, for the All-American team.
I actually haven't met any of the kids for the All-American,
Okay.
but I'm hoping I can make friends with them and get to know them really well.
Have you, in your travels with the River Bandits, I'm assuming you've probably made a lot of friends out there, and you have a lot of extended friends around this western states, we'll say for now?
Yeah, I've made friends on the River Bandits, and then playing against the teams, I've made lots of friends. Specifically 2 teams, the Clutch Baseball and Premier.
You mentioned a moment ago about how excited you were when you heard your name called, about your name being called out for the team. And you were, I assume, one of those select 4 from the tryouts is what you had said, correct? So tell us about that excitement. What happened? I mean, just how did it all make you feel?
Well, I was super excited. I was excited at the point where I didn't know what to feel. I was happy, excited, wanted to cry, but I just couldn't feel anything. I was so happy.
So excited you were numb. I
Yeah.
You hear people say that every once in a while, don't you?
Yeah.
About being excited. Absolutely. So, and you mentioned that you have not gotten to know any of the kids. Do you have like a roster list that you can look at now and say, oh, gee, that's Billy so-and-so. I played against him when he was on the River Dog, when I played the River Dogs, or anything like that?
I'm not for the national team, but for the American team, I know one kid on the American team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know that just a couple weeks ago you were playing, I don't know if it was the River Dogs that you were with or what team you were participating with, but you were down, I think, in Utah.
Yeah.
And you played in a tournament. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I was playing with the River Bandits, and it was a Triple Crown tournament. It was different from USSSA, and there was 49 teams there, and we came out second. And if we hadn't have had to play 4 games earlier that day, I think we could have won.
So you guys are pretty excited,
Yeah.
though, I assume. You betcha.
We were happy but sad.
Now, the River Dogs team, that's made up of kids from where?
Eastern Washington, mostly out of Moses Lake, but it's from Ellensburg to Tri-Cities, Moses Lake, East Wenatchee, Chelan.
Do you find that these people that you've gotten, that you've kind of expanded that, you keep in touch with those people?
Yeah, I definitely keep in touch with those people. They're some of my best friends.
Well, with having young people, your teammates spread around a little bit, do you have to worry about practicing? Do you get together to do that? Or is it just more just play at the tournament level?
We get together 1 to 2 times a week
Yeah.
for that team.
And so find some central point where everybody can get to equally, I imagine.
Yes.
And mom and dad, I suppose those require some traveling commitments on you as well, is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, they do.
All right. Well, Drake, let's talk now a little bit about what you have to do from here. How the process. You're in a region. Tell us about the process. You mentioned something earlier about 3 tryouts or something. Tell me how it works.
So there's one tryout. There was one tryout in Tacoma, one in Oregon, Northern Idaho, and one in Colorado. I went to the one in Tacoma, and we just practiced there. And then a few weeks later, my mom and dad came home with sheets of the direct selections from my tryout, and I saw my name was on there with 3 other kids. It was really exciting.
So they felt like doing some backflips, huh?
Yeah.
Good for you. So, all right, you mentioned that you like to play catcher. What if you could have your dream situation? If you could just close your eyes and you could see Drake doing something, where would you be and what would you be doing with your baseball?
I would be playing for the Mariners, catching for them, and having a throw come in from the outfield. It doesn't matter where, but diving out for it and tagging the guy at home.
All right.
Really cool.
That's great. He really has that picture down, doesn't he? Even to the point of I dive out there and grab it. Well, good for you. That's all right. You know, that's what it takes. Those are the kinds of commitments. Now, we've talked about Eastern Washington. So is there a makeup? Are there teams over on the west side that also are part of that River Dog League, if you will? I don't know what the name of the league is or whatever.
Just we just go to tournaments, and the West Side teams happen to show up for those tournaments.
Okay, so there are teams like yours over on the west side.
Yes.
It's okay. That was what I was kind of wondering. So, and when you guys have tournaments, or do you find opportunities where you can go and play these other teams at all?
Yes.
Okay.
We
Okay.
played a few of those teams down in Utah.
Okay. All right. Good. So, all right. And let's talk a little bit about you put tremendous effort into doing something like this. Clearly, you put the kind of effort it takes to get recognized, and your folks I know are solidly behind you. Let's talk a little bit about some of the reward. You know, with hard work comes reward. What kinds of things can you share with us that maybe have come to you as a result of your baseball?
Well, I've been working really hard at hitting, and my first home run I hit out of the park was last year, and from then on I've been hitting more, so I keep practicing and I've hit more and more. And with the hard work, I get my position at catcher because I beat out the other kids on my team to play catcher, so that comes so I can get even better at what I love.
So when you are going to the tournaments and you finish like you did second, do you guys receive like a trophy or a medallion, or what kind of rewards do you get from that?
In Utah, we received a glass trophy. It was super nice. I don't even know. It was just really nice. And then a few weeks before that, we received like a ring, like you'd find a Super Bowl ring. And then mostly when we win, we either get and then Triple Crown, the one where we qualified for Utah, we got a plaque for winning, and we usually get medals and trophies.
Okay. So, and you, have you, with each of these teams, you've been successful in becoming a starter and getting lots of play time for
Yes.
each of these? So that kind of fills that bucket too for you. I imagine it would be harder to sit to the side after working that hard to get acknowledged. It's nice to be able to play, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really nice being able to play after working that hard.
Well, let's talk now just quickly about Orlando, and then I'll let you go because I know that this has been a long visit. But obviously, you folks will be leaving in a week, 2 weeks. When are you leaving?
We're leaving Friday to go stay at my aunt's, and then Saturday we're actually flying out. We're flying down there, and
Are you going to feel like you want to be behind that plane pushing it so you can get there faster?
yeah, yeah.
And when you guys get down there, because I assume you've not had the opportunity since you've not met any of these guys to practice in any way, you mentioned that you'd have opportunity. Let's talk about that for just a moment. What's going to happen that prepares you guys as a team?
So we're gonna have one practice. I don't know how long, but we're gonna get one practice before a day or two before the tournament starts, so we'll know if we have plays or not. So
Okay.
that'll be good.
Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you'd like to share about the sports that you're doing, or maybe about your relationships that you've built? Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you'd like to share with our folks?
I don't think so. I
Okay.
think we've discussed everything that I was thinking of.
Okay. Well, obviously we want to wish you the best of luck. And with that, hopefully will come lots of reward.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that you have a great time while you're in Florida, because if you've not, your mom said you were small when you were there before. It is an experience beyond your wildest imagination, especially if you're somebody that likes things like Disneyland and so on. And they have so many different Disney parks, if you will, within the park, that you can do a whole lot of stuff. So hopefully your folks and you will have enough time to
Yeah.
get out there and enjoy a little bit of that as well. Do you know where you're going to be staying while you're there?
Where are we staying? Isn't the resort within there, Disney?
No, I don't think, I think it's off property, it's a condo, just
Oh, okay.
a resort
Okay.
nearby.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's the best way to go, isn't it? Because then you're not eating out every night and that
Yes.
type of thing. Because then we're talking a lot, things that add up. So, well, I'll tell you what, Drake, we certainly want to hear all about it when you get back. So when you're thinking about it, and when you maybe have your folks kind of pay attention for any highlight issues that you'd like to share with folks, because I will arrange to get together with you again when you come back and talk about your experience. and talk about, if you've won it, all the things that you've done, and the reward that comes with it. And not that I want to place reward in front of effort, but the reality is for young people to work as hard as you do to get there, you certainly want to feel like you've got something you could almost not brag about, but yet kind of be proud of and share with your friends that you've worked hard and here's some reward for your accomplishments.
Okay.
So we'll talk more about that when you get back. Why don't we take a moment here to just stop, and maybe you'd like to share if it's not too much trouble, maybe you'd like to share a couple of those rewards that you've gotten, just so people can see. I know your dad was explaining to me about the glass trophy, that when you start playing at these levels, that the rewards that the kids get are really quite nice, and kind of a step above the little man that you get when you play on the local team or whatever. So we're going to stop for just a moment, if that's all right with you, and if you'd like to share that. And we'll take a moment, and you can tell us about those things and kind of the tournament that you were in, and also let me just, before I forget, have you had any like MVP experiences in any of the tournaments, most valuable player or anything like that?
Yeah, with my Chelan team, our very last tournament of the year, last year, we went to Colville, and the coach could give an MVP pin to a player on the opposing team.
Mm-hmm.
And I got 2 of those.
Wow.
In 2 games. Yeah.
Must be pretty, make you feel good that these people see you and acknowledge that you're a fine ball player. So.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm sure you're not at all excited about baseball, and then a year from now, playing baseball for the high school. I'm sure that would be exciting.
Yeah,
for you,
it'll be really exciting.
Well, Drake, thank you for taking the time to visit with us. I hope that I haven't confused you or anyone who watches this, because I think it's important that we take the opportunity to get to know our young people in the community. This little community, much like a Brewster or Entiat or whatever, produces some of the most incredible athletes. Boys and girls alike. It's just amazing what they do, and it's kind of nice to be able to share that with people who don't know you, who don't necessarily know our community, but find out you and who you are, not just this blonde-headed kid over here that's playing baseball, but this is Drake Bird, and Drake Bird represents, commitment, a good attitude, somebody who gets involved with everybody else. I mean, if I were doing an evaluation of you, having watched you now with my son over the last several years in various activities, there's no question that your character is the thing that you, I think, feel most about. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, okay, so let's take a minute. If you want to pull a couple of those things together, or if you've got a bookshelf you'd like to go show off, I'm happy to pick up the camera and take it as well. So you decide what you want to do and take a moment to catch your breath, okay?
Okay, so
Well, we're back here with Drake, and Drake took time out to go and pull together a couple of the rewards that he's received, the awards, from different events, different tournaments that he's played in. And you heard him mention that he had been selected as an MVP of one of his tournaments here at some time back. And so those are all things that, although he's a very humble young man and isn't somebody who wants to boast about it, it's important to be able to show and share because you do deserve to be rewarded for all of your work. So let's talk about what you got there first, Drake.
So this ring we got in Centralia for the USSSA state tournament, and we didn't think we were gonna win it all, but we came through, came back 1-0, came back to win the championship.
Wow.
2-1 against a really good team.
Can you pull that up there just a little closer so people can see what that looks like?
Make sure it's upright.
Well, there you go. You almost feel like you're a Super Bowl winner or something,
Yeah.
or a World Series champion or something. And I see you got a couple of other things there. Let's talk about those real quick.
So we won this in Centralia. I mean, not Centralia. Utah for getting second, and we were one of the kids' brothers thought we were getting iPhones.
Oh my goodness.
But it turned out to be this, and it's really nice, super heavy.
Yeah, it looks like it would
Like
be.
pure glass. It was the Triple Crown tournament. Got second in.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And then what, you got one more there. Let's talk about that.
So this one we won with my Chelan team when we were 10, and the
Oh.
tournament was actually here, and we were super excited because we beat the team in the championship that we lost to a couple days before our very first game. We lost to them, and then we came back and beat them in the championship, and it was super exciting.
Sure. So those are all things that you can be very proud of, and I'm sure that you are. So,
Yeah.
well, Drake, you know, we again want to wish you the very best. Look forward to talking with you again when you return, and if you'll just maybe give me a call or have your mom or dad get in touch with me, then we'll set up a time to come over and we'll talk about how much fun you had and how exciting it was and all of the adventures and the fun time, you know, that because it all is fun. It has to be fun, doesn't it, in order to enjoy it
Yeah.
and to be willing to work as hard as you do. And so congratulations again. You are our All-American here in this community this spring, and we're very proud of you. And I want to share that with everybody else out there. So we're here. I'm going to close it at this point, unless Drake has something else he'd like to add.
No.
But Drake, the very best of success to you while you're down in Florida. And be sure that you get a chance to get to know some of these kids and begin to work on more relationships than you already have. So, by all means, never let that character change, because you can be very proud of yourself and the way you conduct yourself. So, any questions?
No.
Mom, Dad, anything?
No, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Well, this will it will be on the Lake Chelan blog, sports blog. So I'll have to do some work to get it ready. So the next day or so, you can look there and probably see yourself and decide whether we did a good job or didn't do a good job. So, but I think you did a great job, and I think you can certainly be proud of yourself, and your parents can certainly. I can see the beam in their faces when I'm talking about you, and that's wonderful, because that shows that they are behind you 100%, not only because you're a good baseball player, but because you're a pretty special kid. All right?
All right.
All right. Once again, Dave Rogie here with the Sports Blog with Drake Bird and his folks here in Howard Flats this afternoon. Thanks again, Drake.
Thank you.